The movie begins with a recap of the first escape room movie, where 6 strangers were unknowingly lured into a deadly escape room orchestrated by the mysterious Minos Corporation. In the end, only Zoey and Ben survived, managing to kill the game master before uncovering that Minos operates out of Manhattan. Determined to take down the organization, they plan to expose the truth. However, Zoey has been struggling with the trauma of the last game. She has been in therapy, but memories of the escape room haunt her, especially Amanda's horrifying death. Her fear of flying has prevented her from going to Manhattan, despite multiple attempts. She also finds herself seeing clues from the game in ordinary objects like her pen, handbook, and novels, leading her therapist to suggest that she's holding onto her past too tightly and needs to let go. Taking this advice to heart, Zoey finally gathers the courage to move forward. She convinces Ben to drive with her to Manhattan so they can expose Minos once and for all. Meanwhile, Ben remains deeply traumatized as well. On the way, he has a terrifying nightmare. In it, Minos tracks them down at their motel and traps them inside, forcing them into yet another twisted death game. Though he tries to shake off the fear, it lingers, making it clear that their fight against Minos is far from over. Zoey and Ben finally arrive in Manhattan, following the coordinates they believe will lead them to Minos' base. However, instead of a bustling street, they find themselves standing in an eerily empty alleyway. As they search for clues, a junkie suddenly snatches Zoey's mother's compass necklace, a sentimental object that has given her strength. Instinctively, Zoey and Ben chase the thief into the subway, but lose sight of him as they step onto a subway car. Before they can react, the subway doors slam shut. They quickly realize they are trapped. Moments later, their train car detaches from the rest of the subway, isolating them inside a tunnel with 4 other strangers: Rachel, Brianna, Nate, and Theo. The terrifying truth sinks in: this isn't just another game. All 6 of them are previous Minos survivors, meaning they have been selected for a twisted tournament of champions. The game begins immediately. Electric currents surge through the metal walls of the subway car, forcing them to decipher a hidden message in order to escape. With every correct letter they reveal, they earn a token, but the electricity intensifies, making survival more difficult. Theo is the first victim. He accidentally touches a metal pole, gets stuck, and is electrocuted to death. Thinking fast, Zoey deciphers the phrase, "Welcome back." She shouts the answer just in time, allowing the remaining survivors to escape through a hatch in the train car. The group finds themselves in an elevator where they finally introduce themselves and recount their past escape room experiences. Brianna, a social media influencer, was trapped in a game designed for other influencers. Nate, a former priest, was forced to endure a test of faith against other men of the cloth. As the elevator doors open, they are met with their next game, a high-tech underground bank. The challenge: certain tiles trigger deadly laser grids, and they only have 10 minutes to find a safe path to the exit. Using riddles and clues, they carefully navigate the room, but the danger increases. Nate heroically tries to sacrifice himself so the others can escape. He collapses unconscious as the team desperately searches for another way out. They uncover 2 safety deposit boxes labeled Sonia, which contain clues that reveal the correct exit path. In a last-second effort, the group grabs Nate and rushes through the door, barely escaping before the lasers consume the entire room. The group enters the next escape room, a highly realistic beach simulation. At first glance, the room seems harmless, but as they explore, they find a camera that provides their next clue. Before they can fully process it, the sand beneath them starts swallowing everything: chairs, objects, and even parts of the structure. It quickly becomes clear that they need to find the exit before they get buried alive. Rachel gets pulled under, sinking fast into the sand. Nate rushes to save her, grabbing a life raft and a rope to dive in after her. He manages to pull Rachel out safely, but before he can save himself, the rope snaps. With nothing left to hold onto, Nate is dragged under the sand, vanishing completely. As they scramble for answers, they spot eerie mannequins around the beach, one with seashells over her eyes and another resembling a small child. These figures appear to be clues, but time is running out. The group discovers two possible exits, one through a fridge in a crab shack and another through a hole in a lighthouse. Brianna chooses the fridge, while Zoe and Rachel head for the lighthouse. As Ben rushes to follow them, he fails to make it in time and is swallowed by the sand. Zoe and Rachel can only watch in horror as he disappears. Devastated, they push through the lighthouse door and escape. As Zoe and Rachel exit the lighthouse, they find themselves back in what appears to be downtown Manhattan. For a brief moment, Zoe believes they have finally escaped, but guilt over Ben's death weighs heavily on her. Rachel, trying to comfort her, reveals a shocking truth: she has a rare condition that prevents her from feeling pain or sensation. She theorizes that Minos purposely designed extremely dangerous games for her, knowing she wouldn't physically react to injury. Before they can make sense of their situation, strange noises lead them to a manhole. Thinking it's an exit, they move toward it, only to be met by Brianna, who emerges and shatters their hope. She reveals the horrifying truth: they are still trapped inside the game. Rachel then notices burns on Brianna's back, and the next challenge reveals itself: acid rain. The entire room is set to a timer, and when it runs out, a deadly downpour of acid will fall from the artificial sky. Panic sets in as the rain begins to fall. The women run for cover, frantically searching for clues to survive. They spot a phone booth and an umbrella, which provide temporary protection but are far from a permanent solution. Just as the rain intensifies, a cab door suddenly opens, an escape route. Zoe manages to get inside, but Brianna and Rachel don't make it in time. They are caught in the acid rain, screaming in agony as their bodies are burned alive. Zoe, now alone, is left to face whatever comes next. Zoe is taken to what appears to be a child's bedroom, filled with familiar clues from previous escape rooms. As she scans the space, she finds a diary belonging to Sonia, a name that has appeared throughout their ordeal. Among the pages, she comes across a phrase spoken to her by Amanda, a reminder of someone she thought was long dead. To Zoe's shock, Amanda suddenly steps out, alive and well. Amanda explains that Minos faked her death and took her daughter, Sonia. In exchange for her child's safety, she was forced to design the deadly escape rooms that Zoe and the others were trapped in. Before Zoe can fully process this revelation, she discovers that Ben is still alive. However, he is trapped inside a glass-walled room that is rapidly filling with water. A voice delivers an ultimatum: if Zoe agrees to become the new puzzle master, Ben will be spared. If she refuses, he will drown. Unwilling to give in to Minos' control, Zoe refuses. Water continues to rise in Ben's chamber, and the reinforced glass proves too strong to break. Desperate, Zoe notices an exposed gas line. With Amanda's help, she rips it open, allowing gas to leak into the room. Using a lighter, they ignite the gas, causing an explosion that heats the metal enough to weaken it. The expansion shatters the glass, and Ben is freed just in time. As Zoe and Ben fly home, a sense of unease creeps in. Something doesn't feel right. After everything they've endured, escaping Minos almost seems too easy. Still haunted by suspicion, Zoe gets up to use the bathroom. On her way, she spots a woman who looks exactly like her therapist. However, as she takes a closer look, she realizes it's not actually the same person. What's even more unsettling, the woman is carrying the same objects the therapist once pointed out as clues. Before Zoe can react, the airplane's intercom crackles to life. A familiar, chilling voice speaks: "The game is over when we say it is." Minos is still in control, and the entire flight is part of their next twisted escape room. Zoe's nightmare is far from over. Escape Room 2 expands on the psychological horror of the first film, raising the stakes and making the game more brutal. It highlights the power of fear, trauma, and manipulation, while also showing that resilience and intelligence can fight back against oppression. Just when it seems that Zoe and Ben have escaped, the final twist proves that the game never truly ends, a haunting reminder that those in power will do anything to maintain control. Ultimately, the movie keeps audiences on edge, questioning reality, and wondering if true freedom is even possible. If you like our work, please like, share and subscribe our channel.